Hello there, I'm Cameron. I am joined today with Arnold. We've known each other for a few months, and Arnold Patent, this is. We've known each other for a few months, and we finally met in the flesh. So it's a pleasure. Arnold's invited me into his home today, and we're just going to kind of have a nice conversation about the family story and how you can really move into abundance in all areas of life just through really getting to the root of everything by releasing your limited conditioning. So, Arnold, thank you for inviting me into your home. I've met your wife, she's amazing, you're amazing, and yeah, you guys have been fantastic. So, could you explain to us, and this is going to be nice and relaxed, but could you start off by explaining perhaps what is the family story to someone who hasn't heard of it before, and
Sure.
the impact that it has?
Yes, well, I've been doing this kind of work, so to speak, for a long time.
Yeah.
It's been my career,
Hmm.
and I went through various phases of it and eventually ended up with what I call the family story.
Sure.
And everybody has a family story. And in that family, a lot of energy is hidden.
Mm.
So I came up with a process that releases the energy in the family story,
Sure.
which then releases energies in the individual that
Got
the
it.
individual didn't even realize that he or she had.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
See?
yeah.
And it opens up a whole new world for people.
Mm.
Now, fortunately, I've been doing this for a while, and I have a number of people who have experienced this
Like myself.
and gained the benefits of it.
Yeah.
And they continue, see? It's not like you reach a certain point and that's it. There's no like end game here. You can take it as far as you wish. But the key to it is releasing the energy in the family story.
Mm. Got
And so this is what I do now. And what you've experienced, and the
it.
main reason we're sitting here
Yeah.
together
Yeah.
talking about this.
Yeah. So I'll give a bit of background about how we met because it will help give context to it. So I reached out to Arnold, having been on his website and looking at what we call his universal principles, right? The universal principles. They're the guidelines that govern our lives perfectly, right? So that was, I believe, your focus for many years.
Yes.
So could you talk about that briefly?
Well, around 19, well, to go way back, first
Yeah.
of all, my training was as a lawyer. I practiced law in New York for 25 years.
Yeah.
And it never felt good to me,
Mm.
the adversarial process.
Mm.
I knew in my heart that when you have two people fighting each other, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And I worked on a lot of agreements with people. And one thing I knew, if the arrangement wasn't fair to both, it
Mm.
would not last.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
See?
Sure.
So I gave up the agreement I made with the law to be
Mm.
adversarial. And I had a family to support, so the alternative I came up with was real estate.
Yeah.
So I had clients. I didn't have any money, so I put in my legal expertise to get some equity. And over the years, found a lot of valuable properties. This was a time of great growth. So
Mm.
if you bought anything decent, 5 years later, you'd look like a genius.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it worked well, and
Yeah.
I made a lot of money,
Yeah.
and it carried me for a number of years. And then what came through me around 1980 was what I called the universal principles.
Mm.
And I started sharing it with people, and they loved it.
Yeah, yeah,
And next thing you know, I'm invited to people's homes. And then I was invited to, I was New York based at the time,
yeah.
to this group of women,
Yeah.
uh, New York near the Hudson River.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a pretty large group. And one of those in attendance
Mm.
was a feature writer for a national magazine. So after she experienced what I had to offer, she asked her editor publisher if she could do a feature on me.
Mm.
And he okayed it. So she traveled to different cities with me, watched me, interviewed the people who were there.
Yeah.
So I became the story, the
Yeah,
cover
yeah.
story for that edition.
Fantastic.
Then I get a call from the editor publisher. We'd like some of your material in the centerfold. Okay, so I sent them some exercises and things.
Yeah.
Then he was coming to New York with his wife. She was a famous psychiatrist, Jean Shinoda Boland.
Mm.
She worked on women's issues. So I met him in a hotel in New York. And after we chatted a while, he gave me an envelope. He said, read this when you get a chance.
Yeah.
I open, I read it. It's the editorial for the edition.
Mm.
It's all about me.
Yeah. Wow.
So I'm the editorial, I'm the feature story, I'm the centerfold,
Yeah.
you know. Then they had a picture of and then I get a call from him. He was an amateur photographer.
Yeah.
He came down to LA from San Francisco when we had to make a trip out here.
Yeah.
Took a lot of pictures of me. He said, you're going to love the picture I got putting you on the cover. I
Wow.
said, wait a minute, Jim. I'm a total unknown.
Yeah.
Who was on the cover before me was the Assistant Attorney General of the United Nations, okay?
Yeah.
So he said, trust me, Arnold, it's okay.
Yeah.
So puts me on the cover of this magazine. So
Yeah.
now I'm the cover, the feature story, and then a picture of the cover in the back for subscriptions. Any place you turned in that magazine, you got me. So this was a strange start.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the magazine comes out.
Uh-huh.
It's national. I get invitations from all over.
Mm.
And I did weekend seminars, workshops for 18 years.
Mm.
And average group 125 to 150, some of them were over 300.
Wow. Yeah.
And I did this for 18 years.
Yeah.
And so I had a lot of experiences, so on. And the core of it was the universal principles.
Mm.
But then we had, and this was sort of the preview to the family story without my realizing it. But for the first 2 years, I did this alone up front, conducting the seminar.
Mm.
And my wife would be in the back of the room, and there was the question and answer period. And people loved this, so they would give their individual situations, and I would explain to them how the principles apply.
Mm.
And there were women who had personal issues, and they would get a hold of my wife in the back of the room and do it personally.
Yeah. Yeah.
So at one point they said, you belong up there with Arnold.
Yeah.
So yes, for the last 16 years, she's up there with me.
Yeah.
So
Fantastic.
I would talk to the principal, and she would explain how you would apply it in your personal life.
Mm.
And the people loved this,
Yeah,
okay? And this, in a sense, was the forerunner of the family story. See?
Sure.
So then this unfolds, and we do this. I do this for 18 years.
Yeah.
And just to cut to the chase, I ended up, from all these years of experience, with what I call the family story.
Mm.
And that's where energy is hidden.
Yeah.
That when you release it, it opens up all kinds of possibilities. See?
Yeah.
Which people aren't aware of because they're in this limited space by virtue of the energies held in the family story.
Got it. Yeah.
So as you are one who experienced it, there are many others who have. See, and I'm one who believes in demonstration.
Yeah.
If you say you do A, you get B, yeah, show me. Show me a bunch of people who did A and they got B.
Yeah.
See? And yes, you're one of them, and there are many others who can testify.
Yeah.
Yes, when you're free of the family story, all kinds of wonderful things open up.
Yeah. No, it's fantastic. So I found Arnold, like I said, through his website, and I heard about Arnold for the first time through um, someone, a holistic health practitioner. Some of you may know him, called Paul Check. And Paul, I highly respect Paul. He's highly respected in the industry that he's in, and starting to grow a bit as well. And Paul said that one of his quote-unquote spiritual heroes was Arnold, and that he recommended to his clients reading some of the universal principles every morning for multiple years. Now, so I immediately went and found Arnold, and then went on to work with him one-on-one by reaching out to him. And you know, you traveled around for 18 years sharing these universal principles, and then you came up with the family story. So I guess the family story really came out of this need because it's very well knowing the principles, right? And even knowing how to practically apply them. But in terms of actually being able to live them like naturally on autopilot, that's where the family story comes in, right? So
Exactly.
yeah. Okay. So, well, I think that's pretty much it on the family story. And apart from, what's the actual process? How could someone work with you if they wanted to?
Well, I have what I call the one-on-one group. This
Yeah.
is a number of people who found me. By the way, I don't advertise and I don't promote.
Yeah.
These are people who find me. And they find me because sort of intuitively this is what they want.
Mm.
And there's only benefit here if the person really wants it. It's not like, some magical thing happens. You do this, you do this, you do this, and you get out with a wonderful result. No.
Yeah.
You got to really want to feel the intensity of the energies that are hidden in this family story.
Yeah.
And when a person is willing to do that, then they get the benefit.
Yeah.
So I can only guide people. They can't play off my motivation. It won't work. They got to have their own motivation and intention to get this benefit. And when they do, it works.
Yeah. Okay. So if someone wants to work with you, how's the best way to get in contact? Is it via email?
Yes, well, I have a website, and it has my email address on it. Yes, and they can get in touch with me, certainly. And if it's appropriate, they would join the one-on-one group.
Yeah.
There is what I call an expression of appreciation.
Yeah.
It's 2 one-on-one sessions, so these are essentially private sessions.
Yeah.
2 of them each week, a half hour each one.
Mm-hmm.
I allow a little bit more for the beginner, when we start, get them settled. And so the expression of appreciation for the 2 one-on-one sessions is $200 US a week.
Which is very balanced, having been through it myself, right? So giving and that's a core universal principle, right? Giving and receiving always occur in balance. So
Yeah, well, see, that's it. If you're going to want to get the benefit of the freedom from the family story, then you have to express appreciation for it so you'll then own it.
Yeah.
It's like you go to a supermarket and you fill up the cart. When you get to the checkout, depending on how many items in the cart, that's how much you express in the way of dollars or whatever to the checkout person.
Yeah,
and it's the same thing. There's always this balance. You don't get something for nothing.
Mm.
Because if you try and get it for nothing, it isn't worth anything.
Yeah.
See?
Fantastic. Okay. So, are there any final words you'd like to share? Any wisdom?
Well, okay. One is there's only one energy in the universe, and that's love.
Yeah.
And the feeling quality of love is joyfulness. And what we've created intentionally are life experiences opposite to that.
Yeah.
And after facing all the challenges we do, and if we stick with it, and get through the family story and so on, we then come back to our natural state. Now, your natural state is natural and it's there for everybody. All the challenges or all this other stuff are overlays, disguises that we put there. So when we finally release them, we can really appreciate our natural state.
Got it.
See, if you wake up every morning and life is wonderful and you're joyful and so on, wouldn't take long before you'd be bored to tears. But when you've gone through the struggles and all of this, and then you end up back there, now you appreciate it. You also appreciate the power that you had to get you back there. See? And then there's one other key piece, and that's compassion. Compassion is one of the highest forms of love. And in order to get through this, you have to feel a lot of compassion for yourself first. You always have to feel it for yourself first. And all the challenges that you've gone through and all of the difficulties, you're entitled to feel compassion for yourself for this. And once you feel it for yourself, you can then feel it for others.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing that I've found in everyone that I've dealt with is hidden anger. And the average person has no idea it's hidden there. But when we go deep, we find the anger. And when we find the anger, there's a process to release it. And when that anger is released, then the person is complete with the family story. And so, and the anger hides the love. It's a disguise for it. But underneath that anger is the love. But you can't get to the love until you first get to the anger and feel the fullness of it and release it.
That's the thing. Like in our society today, in such a culture of trying to suppress our emotions and move away from the pain, which is actually teaching us something. In the full spectrum of emotions, there's valuable information in something like anger, and it's calling us to go back into it.
Yes, what you're describing is what sits in our consciousness, all the beliefs, all of this stuff. We don't know what it is, but the universe is brilliantly set up. And it reflects to us in our daily lives what we got in there.
Yeah.
So if we're sitting with anger, we're going to attract people who are going to be angry at us.
Exactly, yeah.
Or frustrated, or whatever the feeling is, see? And it's designed to remind us, hey, you're sitting with a lot of frustration, you're sitting with a lot of anger, see? And that's the clue to go in there and release it.
Yeah. Fantastic. The mirror principle, right?
Yes, in a way, yes. The mirror principle, yeah. And also there's one other I would mention that's a key principle. What you focus on expands, see? And people tend, when they're uncomfortable, to focus on that discomfort. So what do they get? More of it. And then there's one other part, judgment. Whenever you judge anything or anyone, you lock the energy up tight and it stays frozen that way. But even more so, because the universe is always expanding, so the judgment gets more and more intense. And the most challenging one is to judge yourself, see?
Yeah.
And so there are all these energies and ways to experience them. And I've been around the block a lot of times, and this is what I came here to do. And my joy in life, my purpose, and my fulfillment is when someone is ready and they find me to bring them to a place that is their natural state and they can enjoy it fully, feel the power that they gained, that they experienced, that got them there, feel the compassion for themselves and others. And then a whole new game starts, see? Now that you're free, you can create, there are all kinds of possibilities.
Yeah.
I think of Steve Jobs all the time in the creation of Apple.
Yeah.
I'm old enough that when the computer first came out, you had to be a scientist to use it. Then all of a sudden comes Steve Jobs and he makes it available to everybody.
Yeah.
And it changed the world in many ways. And that's what I see. In the new possibilities, there are all these kinds of things that people will come up with once they reach that freedom, see? And there's another thing. Everybody has a talent, and it's valuable. And it's designed so that we play together as equals in mutual support in a context of oneness. And when we do this, everything is covered. And in this natural state, abundance and money flows appropriate to what your purpose is here. See? And if you're someone who is a big builder and you're going to build 50-story buildings, well, a lot of money has to pass through your hand. If you have a simpler life, you're a baker or a shoemaker or something simple, well, you'll have more than enough to do that comfortably, but you don't need what a big operator needs, see? It's always in proportion, and it's set up beautifully. So the idea is to get ourselves in harmony with the universe, and freeing ourselves of the family story is the big step we take to get back into that harmony and feel the love and the joyfulness and the compassion, of course, that each of us deserves for what we've gone through, and feel that compassion for others.
Fantastic. Right, well, let's call it there, hey? We'll finish on that. So, yeah, thanks for having me again, Arnold. This has been fantastic. Great conversation. Hope you've enjoyed. And yeah, so you can check out Arnold's website, arnoldpatent.com, to learn more. He's got his universal principles on there. He's got more about the family story. He's got his email address and ways to contact him, etc. So hopefully you've enjoyed. We will potentially see you again soon. Hopefully you'll get in touch with Arnold if that interests you. And have a great day. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.